Welcome to Thriving Thoughts, a podcast for women who believe in thriving in any and every circumstance. Every week, we have candid conversations with remarkable women about how they silence the little lies in their minds and overcome their shoulds, coulds, and not enoughs with big truths. I'm your host, Dr. Sherri. Now let's thrive. Hey sisters, welcome to episode 15, Finding Your Happiness Away. Yes, sisters, you are in for an eye-opening new way of thinking about happiness. Today, we are joined by my dear friend, incredible coach, and yes, y'all get this, she is a happiness expert. So take it from Cindy Battino, my friend and happiness expert. She talks with me during this conversation, you guys, about so many things. She talks about the myths, the things that we say to ourselves, how we lie to ourselves about, do we really want to be happy? And do we really want to be happier? Do we believe that it's possible, right? And then are we willing to put the work in? So Cindy shares a lot too, y'all, about some personal stuff, her own experiences with therapy, and why she's not a therapist. And quite frankly, it's probably why I left the field of traditional clinical psychology as well. But listen, y'all are not going to want to miss all of the nuggets of wisdom that Cindy drops on us today. She is friendly. She is fierce. She is in your face. And she has a gift of encouragement and a gift of motivation to offer to you today, sisters. So enough with being I'm fine and finding your happiness away. Tune in, listen up to my conversation with my amazing friend and happiness expert, Cindy Battino. Hey, Cindy. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on today.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Hey, I got a question for you. I was just thinking about this before we got on. How long ago did we meet? Do you remember like how we met? Because I'm trying to rack my brain about how we met.
We met, I have no freaking idea. I think we met at, it was the Sterling Women in Winchester. Was it that?
Was it?
Was it? I don't, God bless, it was Sterling Women Winchester, and you spoke.
Oh, good night. How long ago was that? Like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Something like that.
Yeah, at least 5.
Yeah. And anyway, well then we just keep running into each other, and then I keep running into you on social media. So I was so excited to reach out and grab you and say, please come on my podcast, because I love watching your stuff. Man, you're like a woman after my own heart, because
that's why we like each other though.
You are, because you don't sugarcoat anything. You're like, you say it with love, right? And you say it with integrity, and you say it with compassion, yet you say it with purpose, and you don't beat around the bush. And I just love that about you.
Thank you. That's why I didn't want to be a therapist.
Why? Because you can't not beat around the bush when you're a therapist?
Yeah, I think being a therapist, you have to be softer. You can't nudge. You can't be a nudge. I'm a nudge.
Well, maybe that's why I left the field, because I used to fire people.
Oh, I still do. I do. I fire people. I do. I really do. Just let me see if does this affect how you hear me?
No, you're good.
Okay, good.
We're good.
I'm hearing some other stuff here. So I just want to make sure that went away. But no, I think that and the whole purpose of what I think a therapeutic environment is to allow people their own time and their own way to get where they want to be. And
right.
I can't. I made a promise to myself a long time ago, and in therapy, and I gave my therapist permission to not allow me to be in delusion. Not illusion, delusion. Like, don't collude with my delusion. Like, tell me what is real. Tell me what is real. And and I made a promise then that to myself to not be a therapist because I cannot. I will allow someone their illusion with compassion, but I will not collude with their delusion. I can't, and that's that. People hire me and fire me for the same reason because I just I can't.
Well, it's
I want them to be happy.
Exactly. And happiness does not come when you're sitting there colluding or lying to their face.
And that's why we're talking today.
That's right. That is why we're talking today. And hey, so you are a happiness expert. And girl, that is one thing that I know people are desperate for. Like they search everywhere. Like, how do I be happy? Right? Like, so I'm so glad you're on the show because you're going to give us the insights, aren't you?
Well, yeah. And I just, I kind of made a raspberry, like when you said that, Sherri, that, because, people say it all the time. They say, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happier. I want a happier marriage. I want a happier life. Cindy, I want the life that you have. Well, then that means you're going to have to get your butt to my office. You're going to have to learn new skills. You're going to have to change how you think, how you see. And they're like, oh, no, I'm okay.
Right.
Right. I mean, if people really believed that they could be as happy as they could be, if people really wanted to be as happy as they could be, I would have a wait list a mile long, Sherri. I would never have to look for clients. I mean, I would never have to market my business. I would never have to come on podcasts unless I wanted to. But
I think that people, what you and I both sell in different ways, and selling is not a 4-letter word, right? Sell. No. But it's work.
Yes.
What we sell is work. And our world functions in the delusion that good things come quickly and easily with very little work. And that is the biggest lie.
It is the biggest lie. It is, and the second biggest lie is I'm fine. It's a lie. When I hate that. If I could do anything on this earth, I would eradicate the word fine, unless it came before diamond.
Okay.
Fine diamond. That's a fine diamond.
Right? You crack me up. Yes. Yes.
Actually, my horse is named Fine Diamond, but it's true, right? But when I look at someone and I ask them how they are, and they're like, I'm fine. What I do is, in my mind, that means to me, they're miserable, but they're not miserable enough to want to make any changes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think to me, fine says there's an awareness that everything is not optimal. And either I'm okay with that for right now because I don't want to dive that deeply into it, or that's just the status quo and that's how life is supposed to be. Fine.
Yeah. I mean, people have different reactions with me. One is either they don't believe that I really am happy and that I really have a happy life. So they either don't believe me. A lot of times they just don't believe me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they want the pill. They want the fast track. And I think, Sherri, I do what I do because I really truly believe that I am not the only person that grew up in an abusive home. I am not the only person who's challenged with depression. I am not the only person that has been physically, emotionally, and mentally abused. I'm not. I'm not the only person. Right. I was not taught how to be happy. I was not taught how to have a healthy relationship. I was not taught how to be I don't want to say it that way because my parents were loving and kind at times. But I did not learn how to be the parent I wanted to be for my children and that my children deserve. And so I had a high level of motivation. Therapists loved me. They loved me because I had such a high level of motivation to do it differently.
To do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I went into every session with give me homework, give me a plan. I mean,
something. Yeah.
Something. I want to be better. And I'm willing to do the work to get there. And I want to learn more about me. I want to learn how I can, if there was a book or if there was a workshop or anything, a class that said to be a better blank, show up. My butt was there. I mean, and, I don't think that everybody needs to come from, you don't have to have a horrible childhood to want to be happy in your life.
That's right.
Everybody can be happier. Everybody can move one level up the scale. But I want people to know that it's not rocket science. Being happy is not rocket science. Does it take time? Yes. But is it worth it? God, yes.
Yes.
It's learning life and relationship skills. It's
Right. Well, okay. So you're going to break it down for us a little bit, but before we do that, I want you to, if you would be so open with us and the women listening, Cindy, what was the shift for you? What was the catalyst that said that one, there was an awareness that you were unhappy, and two, that there was this internal motivation to shift to go get that, go find that happiness? What was the shift for you? Is it identifiable?
There are a couple of things, I think. One of my first adult relationships was mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive. And I had an awakening the very last time I was getting physically abused. And that awakening, or epiphany, or aha, whatever you want to call it, was I saw myself either in a hospital bed or in my coffin.
Oh my goodness. That's dark.
Well, hell to the yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew if I stayed, one of those two things were going to happen. So I left. Now, I wish I could tell you I left and I left in a clean way and I became this superhero. And that's not what happened. It took a while for me to really break away. So that was the first sign. Okay, so I don't want to do this anymore. This is not okay.
Right.
But then I read this article after I left my boyfriend. And it said the reason why women, basically this is what I took from it. I don't know what the article said, honest to God. But what I took from it, the article said, you like bad boys because you're a bad girl. Because I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
So I took from that, I'm bad.
Yep.
So that meant I had to be good. Which meant I had to be someone I am not.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's messed up. It's so messed up, but it's so funny, right? So
it is. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because it's ludicrous.
It is.
It's ludicrous. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But
how many of us women believe that at some point? I'm bad and I've got to be good.
No one will ever love me. No one will ever want me. I'm never enough. I'll never be skinny enough, pretty enough. Whatever.
Say it, girl. Yes, all of it.
So I'm older than you, Sherri. So do you remember Gilligan's Island?
Yeah, girl, I remember Gilligan's Island.
The 3-hour tour. Okay, so
right.
My first husband, bless his heart, believed he was marrying Mary Ann.
Okay.
But he really got ginger.
I see the resemblance, by the way. I see I do.
But the truth is he married Ginger.
There you go.
But
yeah, girl, Ginger.
I grew up with a very protective, a very conservative father, and a very not conservative mother who could very easily today, if she was younger than she is, be part of the Me Too movement. I mean, my mom was so ahead of her time. My mom started her own wilderness programs. I mean, I'm telling you, she was so ahead of the time.
Wow.
So when I realized that I liked bad boys because I'm bad, right? To me, that meant, so you have to be conservative. It means that you don't cuss. It means that you submit. It means that you don't like sex. Yeah. You're not a sexual being. So being Ginger was actually, that was bad. Ginger was bad. So my poor first husband. I mean, he's such a nice guy. I love him to this day. we just weren't the best of partners because I went into it. He didn't, and I've apologized 100 times. I'm like, I am so sorry. I pretended to be someone I wasn't because I thought who I was bad.
Was not good enough. Was bad. Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Girl, you just like, I've got like 3 questions blowing up in my mind for you right now, but just thinking about that, pretending to be someone that we're not.
How many of us do it? We do it all the time. We wear all these masks. We have all kinds of words for it in the psychological world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the time.
So it wasn't until my early 30s that I had a set of 3 epiphanies, and that took me on my journey. But they all stem from that place of feeling like I was back and realizing that I had a challenge of depression, realizing that I had these 2 beautiful children, and realizing I was miserable. And one of the epiphanies was that my reality and my version of reality, like what I thought were very different.
Yes.
So I always say, if someone looked through the windows of my cute little English tutor home with my cute little kids, they were so good. They were just, and to this day, they're amazing people. With my husband who loved me, I loved him. We had this house, we had the clothes, we had the cars, we had the whatever, and I was freaking miserable. And anybody else looking through that window would go, "Wow, Cindy, you are so lucky.
You look like you're in a Hallmark movie."
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was so miserable. And I was finally ready to say, "Uncle, I have something to do with this mess."
Yeah. So can you give us a little bit of insight? Because certainly I love what you said earlier about you're not the only one. And very often, Cindy, when one of my gifts is input. And so I learn and I feel from everything. And so very often I'll drive by, homes, I could be going to the grocery store or whatever, but if I drive through a neighborhood, I think very differently about what's going on inside that home because I know women and I know people. And so
I thought I was the only one who did that.
No. I'm like, it's insane.
Looking at everybody's windows.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder what's going on in her life today. Like, so there's a woman listening, if not tons of women listening, who were like, wait, I need to know more to know if this is like my experience too. So the unhappiness, the whatever word you want to use to describe what you were feeling inside when other people were looking inside and seeing something different, but you were feeling something. Can you give us some insight into what you were feeling, what you were thinking, the kind of things that you said to yourself, so that a woman listening could identify with you a little bit?
Okay, so anyone out there who is challenged with depression, you are not depressed. You are not a depressed person. It is your challenge. It is not your identity. Super important.
Yes.
Super important.
Woo! Yes.
So when I realized that I had this challenge called depression, I learned, and this is how I explained it to my then husband, because he was really worried, because I had been trying to convince him for years that he was the reason why I was so unhappy. Right?
If only this would change.
And and so part of my epiphanies, the 3 epiphanies, was that, I'm the common denominator in my miserableness. But then the other thing, then I got hope, because if I'm the common denominator in my miserableness, that means I'm the common denominator in my happiness.
Oh, girl,
so it gave me
beautiful.
Such hope. It did. It gave me hope. So I said, okay, so I'm just going to focus on me. Like, screw everybody else. I'm not going to focus on my husband and what my husband is doing wrong. I'm not going to focus on my kids, what they're doing wrong. I'm going to focus on me. And so I came home from like the first or second therapy session, and my then husband, he was scared. He said, I'm so scared about you going to therapy. I'm so afraid the therapist is going to tell you that I'm the problem and that you need to get a divorce. And I looked at him and I said, okay, this is the deal. This is what depression is. Depression is like you're wearing sunglasses that have the UV covering. And the UV covering with sunglasses prevents the sun from damaging your eyes. When it's depression, it's the happiness that can't come in.
Right.
Only the negative comes in. Right. And the happy, anything nice or good bounces completely off and you don't see it. It doesn't come into your system.
It's not even on the radar, yeah.
No, you negated it. It was like ping, gone. It didn't even happen.
Yeah.
You know? And so I said, until I figure out what makes me happy, I can't determine that you're the problem. Because I don't know what makes me happy yet. And so, and this was before we had so much brain science now that actually proves that we take in more negative than positive. I mean, there's so much science now that makes complete sense with everything that I've been through and that everybody that's listening has been through, right? So I actually got a notebook. And every time my husband did something nice for me and was showing me that he loved me, even if I didn't ask him to or want him to, or even if it didn't matter to me, every time he did something nice for me and wanted to show me that he loved me, I wrote it down. So that I could prove, I had proof that he really was trying. And that he really
solidify the goodness. Yeah.
Yes. And brought some goodness in so that I could really then focus on me and how I was showing up. And we did this. I went to a cognitive therapist first. And so she was so funny. She had me fill out this form. I don't know what type of therapy you did. But anyway, in cognitive therapy, they have this form that you can fill out. It's your emotion. And then what happened. And what's the emotion, and then what is the belief,
and then the thought. Yeah.
Right. And I saw her every 2 weeks. I came back for the next session, and I had probably like a 1/2-inch thick set of pages that I expected
in that same style.
Yeah.
Experience, thought, feeling. Yeah.
So it really, I loved it because it really made me think, and I like to think. So, and I'm a good student. And I realized then, even before, I was just honored by George Mason. It was I'm an alum of George Mason. And they asked one of the things that I learned by going to school is I learned that I wasn't stupid. I learned that I was a really good student. And I wasn't just a good student. And I wasn't just smart. I mean, I won awards. I mean, I was. Yeah. But if it was here, it was in cognitive therapy that I'm like, oh, I really like to think. I like noodling this through. It's a puzzle that is me. I'm the puzzle.
Yeah.
So, and I really began to see how I had some common emotions, common beliefs, common thoughts. And it was all on me then to look for a different way. I think my poor therapist, she could have just recorded our first session and played that for the next 3 years. And it was, every time she'd say, so Cindy, what's going on? How was it? I go, well, A happened, so B happened, so this is what it means. This is C.
Right.
And she'd be looking at me, she'd go, Cindy, is there another way to interpret that situation? I went, no. A happened, so B happened, therefore it's C. And we would go through this almost every session. And this is what it really began to sink in, that my reality is not everybody's reality. And my reality isn't necessarily the reality of what actually is. And that's what I found two most beneficial things I found about therapy is, one, they gave me choices that I didn't have to react the way I reacted. Those things that made me angry before didn't have to make me angry in the future. So it gave me choices, and it also made me look in question, be really curious about my reality, because our realities are based on our experiences.
Yeah.
And so it's like when someone speaks to us, they're playing telephone with us. And it goes through everything that we've ever experienced, every person we've ever met. And again, we know this through brain science now.
Yeah.
We are wired to judge and assume. That's how we're hardwired as people.
Absolutely. And particularly ourselves.
Yes.
Judging and assuming about ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got extra ammunition with that too, called the superego. So
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
We've got extra ammunition for ourselves, and that's the superego.
Oh yeah. So here's what I love about, right. Here's one of the things that I love about what you're saying, Cindy, is So going back to what we talked about, like
Okay.
you and I sell work, right?
Yeah.
It's work to achieve the goals, right? But here's the alternative perspective, right? Because it's our beliefs, our realities are subjected to our experiences, but they are further subjected to our interpretation of our experiences. So if we look at something as work, then we're probably going to be resistant to it. We're probably not going to be as motivated. But here's the beautiful thing that I heard in the story that you just shared.
Okay.
That you discovered you had choices. And when you discover you have choices, you discover, for lack of a better word, and not to use one that's played out, but you discover your power. You discover that you have agency over your own life.
Yes.
And that is not work. That is like, woo, let me go wield my superpowers.
Yeah, it's empowering. It's empowering to know that you have choices. It's empowering to know that you don't have to behave badly all the time. I mean, it's empowering. I mean, it really is. And to have someone validate for you that and help you be curious. One of the huge skills, two huge skills that I teach is one, being curious, and two is the pause. And
oh yeah.
I mean, you can't. And when we can become curious, it isn't work anymore. It's about what don't I know about me? What don't I know about you? What don't I know about this situation? Well, I think it's A plus B equals C, but is it really? Like, did I just end up in algebra, or am I in plus and minus, like in third grade? Like, okay, when we can release the judgment and. We are fascinating beings. I love what I do because we're so fascinating. We're just
yes, we are,
and
incredibly
yes. And one of the reasons why I wanted to be on the show is that one of the things that frustrates the ever loving stuff out of me is that we have as human beings, we have the capacity to tolerate so much pain, so much anger, so much fineness, right? And to the point where we consider suicide, to the point where we won't go to a psychiatrist to get a pill for depression, to the point where we won't go to a therapist, where we won't go to a coach, because we're fine. We can tolerate it. Well, everybody listening, you do not have to tolerate an unhappy marriage.
Right.
You don't have to tolerate being miserable. You don't have to tolerate being fine. There is something better. There is. Yeah. I promise. I promise.
So I've got a curiosity. Speaking of curiousness, curiosity. I don't know. Is curiousness a word? Yeah. Anyway, speaking of curiosity, so I want to backtrack real quick to something that you said.
Okay.
Several minutes ago, I don't know, but you were talking about, I was never taught how to be happy. And so, I know if I'm curious about that, the listeners are curious. What do you mean? Like, is that something you can teach? So like if a woman's listening and she's got kids and that's piqued her curiosity and she goes, well, I wonder if I'm doing a good job of teaching my kids. Like, what does that look like to be taught or to teach being happy?
So I was raised by parents that grew up in the Depression, right? And one of them, my father, grew up in the tenement houses of New York City, tragically poor. Right?
Wow.
So my parents were raised on survival skills. They didn't have the other skills to teach me.
Yeah.
So they couldn't teach me healthy boundaries because they were all about survival. Right? Yeah. They couldn't teach me what enough looked like, felt like, tasted like. So they couldn't teach me what enough is because they were constantly in a lack mentality.
Right.
They couldn't teach me how to do healthy conflict. I was taught to go to war. I mean, leave body parts behind. I mean, you mess with me, I either ran and hid or I took out my sword and I eviscerated. Yeah. That's what I was taught. These are all things and skills. I wasn't taught to be curious. I was taught to assume the worst about myself and other people. So I mean, at least I was taught many good things, and I was taught how to be honest. I was taught how to have a hard work ethic. I was taught some really good things. So I don't want to make it sound like my parents were like completely like crazy, but the skills that I needed to have a happy marriage, to be a happy person, and to be a healthy parent weren't there. How to listen. Listening is a skill. I mean, you know that. I mean, how much time do we spend? Couples come in all the time.
They're not listening. They're thinking about what they're going to say next.
That's right.
Yeah.
The first thing they'll say is we don't have good communication skills.
Yeah.
Like, well, duh.
Duh. Yeah.
Duh. I mean, people aren't taught how to say no. They aren't taught that their yes is a gift, right? They aren't taught. So there's so many
and even before that, even before I'm having a conversation, but yet I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. I'm not really listening to what you're going to say. This is the other thing women do. And boy, we've got it nailed down tight. So what we do is we don't even have the conversation in person because we've already had the conversation and we know exactly how it's going to go.
So I even bother having the conversation, just cut them off right there.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing that we do so poorly, that how you teach people to be happy, is how to use their words and how to use their words in a way that can be heard by the other people, and how to speak our needs. I mean, oh, come on, Sherri, I know I am not the only one that is guilty of this, but my poor ex-husband, I have apologized so much. I expected him to know what I needed every moment of the day. If I was unhappy, he was supposed to do this or that or this or whatever it was. He should know what I want.
Know.
Yep. He should know what I want for presents. He should know what to do if I'm happy. He should know how to make me happy. He should.
That is such a lie. Yeah.
It's such a lie. And it so sets them up for failure. Yeah. And then, this is the best part, when we do speak our needs, right? When we do speak it, then if they actually do it, we negate it. Because we have to tell them.
Oh, right. I shouldn't have to tell you. No. Then it's not real. Then it's not legitimate. Yeah. We need to stop it.
Right. And so, and when I talk to people now, I'm like, and how stupid is that?
Yeah.
Like,
so stupid, because then you don't get what you want.
Right. So I'm like, listen, so you just said you love flowers. Yes.
Right.
And so brings you flowers. Yes. So they not only heard you, they acted on it because they wanted to do something nice for you. And then you just slapped them in the face for it.
Right. And then they're like, I don't know what else I can do. I don't know what to, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're funny. We're funny people. I mean, we really are.
We are funny people, but I love your feistiness, especially over enough with the fineness already. But I have a curious question for you about happiness. So, I think there are so just really quickly, something that I took away from what you said when you talked about your parents being in, survival mode all of their lives. And that's what they knew. And that's what they knew to teach you was surviving and just kind of treading water, just kind of existing, assuming the worst about other people, not being curious about other people. And that to me, so I say there's three kind of thought worlds that we have. We can have a suffering thought world, or surviving thought world, or a thriving thought world. And I equate thriving to these things that you're talking about in different words, being curious about yourself, but being honest with, and being honest with yourself, and being curious about other people, and being honest with other people, and having some upfront in your own face conversations with yourself. Right. And so one of the things that I say, I'm getting to my question, I promise. One of the things that I say is that thriving does not mean that you have a pain-free existence. It does not mean that things don't happen in your life that are hard. It doesn't mean that you never cry. It doesn't mean that you don't get mad. It doesn't mean any of those things. It means that you are learning in the process about yourself and others, and you're learning how to grow. You're prospering. You're flourishing, right? That's what thrive means. So with happiness, So this kind of thing that we see typically as elusive. And so we just kind of put a veneer on of happiness and say, well, that's good enough. For somebody that's really working to achieve that, like you, and somebody who believes that they have achieved that, like you, tell us
I'm sorry,
what.
I'm still working. I am happy, but I could always be happier. So I still work on me.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me there. Yeah, I don't believe any of us ever truly overcome. I believe that we're always going forward. So, and there's always room for growth. But so the happiness, like, is it like with thriving for me, where I say it's not a pain-free thing? What, if somebody's like, oh, I'm supposed to be happy, and now this comes along. How do you share that? How do you address that challenge with your clients, Cindy?
So I call them life speed bumps from hell.
Okay.
Nobody gets a pass on life speed bumps from hell.
That's right. Nobody.
Right. So stuff happens. People die.
Yes.
Financial worlds change. Divorce might happen.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of stuff happens. So am I happy all the time? No.
Right.
Do I still struggle with my challenge of depression? Sure. Does it make me non-functional anymore? No.
Right.
Do I, once I realize I'm there, look for the lesson? Yes. I'm also an energy worker, so I believe everything happens for a reason. And the reason is a lesson. And it's a lesson that we couldn't learn any other way.
Right.
So this is the way that we're going to learn the lesson. So thriving through life's speed bump from hell rather than just surviving life's speed bump from hell makes you come out the other side stronger, happier, lighter, more knowledgeable about you, more knowledgeable about the world around you.
And you become more fluent, right? You become more fluent as you, like I was looking at one of your programs on your website, and it's happiness is a verb, right? Which I love, by the way, because that's what I say about love. That's what I say about forgiveness. Like happiness is a verb. And so it's doing, it's not a feeling that just comes over you. It is a thing that you have to go do, right? And now I just totally, I almost totally lost the thought. So happiness is a verb. And so for you, driving over those speed bumps, and as you encounter them, I think one of the other lies that we tell ourselves is not to expect that. So I love your description of nobody gets a pass from speed bumps from hell. Like we have to expect it. It's coming, right? We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know where it's coming from sometimes, right? Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. But I think it's as we push through that, as we use those experiences as lessons about ourselves, about others, about the world, about our experiences, we become more fluent in dealing with the next speed bump. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. Yeah, because we're if we learn, that means we're gaining skills. And then we can use those skills the next time. And there are people, I really admire these people. There are people who go slowly over the speed bump. Right? And
what are you, people, like a bull in a china shop? Bam.
Oh my God, I hit that speed bump at 100 miles per hour. I mean, I'm like one of those people that I'm just going to hit it and I'm just going to go flying. Right. So, but yes, we become more fluent because we're gaining skills along the way. When we stay in, so this is what happens, right? We have choices. Yep. And we have a choice to blame others for our speed bumps.
Yes.
And when we stay in blame, we cannot learn.
You got that right.
And if we cannot learn,
say that one more time, Cindy.
Skills, I would love. I will do 100 of these with you. If I can help people stop saying you're fine. If I can help people learn new ways of showing up. There's nothing scarier than being authentic, especially when you feel like you're bad. You're never good enough. You're bad.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more painful, nothing that brings you less happiness in the world than not being able to be authentic. Yeah. And it's when those people, and this is, I once had a therapist look at me and say, Cindy, you don't have to rip everybody's masks off their face, right? Because people would be like, Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so spiritual. Oh,
Right.
yes, we don't do conflict. No, conflict is bad.
Right.
I am
Right.
happy. I don't do negative. Don't speak to me about negative. No. And I'm like, screw you. Like, you're not real. Like, who's really under that mask? Like, who are
That
you?
reminds me of that movie, Pleasantville.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
ever
Oh,
see?
I hated that movie.
Right, right, because everything's perfect. Everyone's perfect. Nobody fights. But here's the thing. Why is it, Cindy? Why do you believe that I don't care who you talk to at some point in our life, we believe that's how things are supposed to be. Why do you think that is? Why do
You
we
know,
lie to ourselves that life is supposed to be picture perfect?
it's so funny. We used to blame Disney, right? We don't blame Disney anymore.
Right, right.
Okay, so this is my take on it. My take on it is that right now there are good things and bad things about all the talks about being positive, changing your mindset, the attitude of gratitude, being mindful, being conscious, being aware. Yeah. And we are surrounded by, and it's the positive psychology world, right? Positive psychology world. All you have to do is change your thoughts.
Right.
Well, damn, if it was that easy, I mean, I'd be a freaking millionaire and so would everybody else in this, right? So we're taught that we've been taught, right? There's some beautiful, I love the positive psychology world. There are many beautiful things that come from it.
Right.
And there are lots of truths in it too, but people take it to an extreme and then say, well, I can't be negative.
Right. That's right.
I have to be happy. I have to prove to everybody that I'm happy all the time, but it's not authentic. And so it becomes this, and the worst part about it is inside.
Yeah.
It's so different.
And I think that's exactly, people have had questions. People have asked me before, what does authenticity even mean? I say what it means is that there's a congruence or there's a match. But there's a match. There's a congruence between what you're thinking and believing on the inside and what you're actually doing on the outside.
Absolutely.
And when we don't have that congruence, not only is it inauthentic, but it results in unrest, in a lack of peace, in a lack of harmony, right?
So like if I'm having a really bad day, when I go get coffee, not with clients, right? You have to put all that aside when you're with clients, but when I go get coffee, I'm not smiling and talking to everybody.
Right.
I'm not. I'm struggling with what is.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to kind of noodle it through and work it through so I can work through it because I don't want to get lost in it. I don't want to get stuck in it. But I'm not going to ignore it because I know ignoring it doesn't work either. But I'm not going to look at everybody and tell everybody how happy I am. I mean, and people can tell you. And so I'm in this little town called Middleburg, and people will tell you, like, Cindy smiles a lot, but I've seen times where she's like been kind of out of sorts.
Right.
So that's what being authentic is. Being authentic is like being able to say, well, I'm doing okay right now, but I was better yesterday. I'll be better tomorrow, but yeah, that's some stuff. It's okay. Yeah.
There is such freedom in just acknowledging that.
And you're not burdening
instead of hiding
people.
it. Yeah, no.
People, you're just letting them know that, we all got stuff.
Right. We've all got stuff. Cindy, you are right. We do all have stuff. And I wish I could talk to you forever. I'm going to have you on the show again in 2020 for sure. But as we are closing out here today, the listeners, the women listening, they have stuff and many of them want to work with you. And so can you just share a little bit about who is your ideal client that you work with? Who is she? What does she look like? What's she thinking? What's she believe in? What does she want to accomplish? And then how can she get in touch with you?
Okay. So she comes in many different forms. She comes, in the form of someone who is ready to admit that she is the common denominator in her unhappiness.
Yes, ready to admit it.
She's ready to admit it. She's ready to learn more about herself. She's typically in transition,
Okay.
but she's tired of being tired.
Yeah.
She's looking for a new identity, the true identity that is her. She really wants to believe that she's not bad. She really wants to believe that she's enough. She wants to believe that she can truly be happy, whatever that looks like, because it's different for everyone. That is a lot of who she is.
Okay.
She's also
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for
You're
helping us
welcome.
understand.
She's also, and I'm seeing this more and more, she's also can be very accomplished professionally, has much success professionally, and realizes that she sucks in relationship.
Say that. That exists, y'all. You can
Oh my
be
God.
awesome at business and stink at relationships. Yep.
Yeah. And it's really, and actually have a webinar about that.
Oh, great.
Shifting the skills that put you in the doghouse at home. So
Great. We're going to include the link to that in the show notes.
Okay, perfect. So those are the women that look for me. Again, are either in transition, they're ready for change, they want to really like figure out who they are and how they tick, and they really are ready to appreciate themselves. They really want to realize that they are enough. They're tired of not feeling enough. And or they tend to be very accomplished in one area of their life and just are like striking out on the other end of their life. Okay, so the way that they can find me is my website, which you're going to put up, my email.
But tell us what it is anyway. Just tell us and then, yeah.
Okay, so my website's transform-heal.com. My email is Cindy, Cindy, at transform-heal.com. I work with people, with clients, lots of different ways. I work virtually with clients. I had a recent person from Chicago. I do a welcoming session first to make sure that we're compatible and I can understand what goals they want to achieve. And that my sessions tend to be like an hour and a quarter. I hate the 50-minute ding. Can't stand it. Yeah. That's another therapy thing, right? I have a meetup group at Salamander Resort and Spa the first Tuesday of every month from 6 to 7:15 p.m. And it's called Wine.
And is that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
First Tuesday night of every month at Salamander Resort and Spa in Middleburg, Virginia. And we have a topic every month. And it's called Wine Makes Me Happy.
Okay.
So we have a glass of wine and we do a little group work on the topic of the month. And you can find that on meetup.com as well as my website. I have a webinar that you can join, Shifting the Skills That Put You in the Doghouse at Home. Great. I'm changing that to Mondays. That's coming up, and it's the third, I believe. You'll have to check my website. It's the second or third Monday of every month. I should know that.
Okay, that's okay. Now, is that available on social media? Is that available on Facebook, or is that just available through your website?
Just on my website. There is a charge.
Okay.
And how else can they work with it? They can do, like you saw, the Happiness as a Verb program. That's an online program. And I offer that with one-on-one coaching, either once, twice, or 3 times a month.
Great. Perfect. Wonderful. Cindy, I am so excited to have had you here today. Listen, listeners, I wish that I could show you the video of this right now. One day, Squadcast is actually working on that feature, introducing that feature to record the actual video. But Cindy just did like the hands up in the air, like, whoop, whoop. Yeah. So this is super, super fun. I'm so blessed to, 1, know you, and 2, just get the opportunity to share you with other women who need to hear your message and who needed to hear exactly what you had for them today. So thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your heart with us.
Thank you. No, I loved it. Absolutely love it. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. I'm happy to do welcoming sessions and I'll give a discount for anybody that comes from this podcast today. So I'll take 50% off.
So what do they need to say? I heard you on Thriving Thoughts with Dr. Sherri.
Absolutely.
All right, sweet. Listen to that, ladies. Just because you're listening to the podcast today, you get a special treat from Cindy. That's so sweet. That's awesome. Okay, Cindy, I'm going to put you on the spot as we close out here. I always ask every guest this last question. If you can share one truth with the women listening that you want them to specifically, distinctly remember after today's show, what would that be?
Can I do two?
You can have two, just because I love you.
Thank you. So I want everyone to hear today that you can be happier than you are today. You absolutely can. You deserve to be happy, and you are enough. The second thing I would like to share is that what I know for sure is when women show up in a fierce way in their life, they are unstoppable. So if you want to be fierce, yes. If you want to be unstoppable, you got to find your fierce. You got to find your fierce. You got to find your happy. Right?
I love that. Okay. Find your happy, find your fierce, and find your unstoppableness.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Cindy, thank you again so much, my friend. You go and have a happy, happy rest of your day.
I will. Thank you, Sherri.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, I'm humbled you chose to join me this week for Thriving Thoughts. It's women like you who listen, subscribe, and give us thoughtful reviews that allow our message of thriving in any and every circumstance to reach even more women who need a healthy dose of truth speaking. I'm Dr. Sherri, and I'm grateful to be your Thriving Thoughts host, where we're shifting perspectives and speaking life to you so you can thrive. Be sure to tune in next week and share this episode with a friend. Until then, remember, overcome your little lies with big truths.